Hey, what's up, dudes? What are you up? What are you doing? How's it going? So I'm back on. Brought this on. Those on my Facebook page have seen this from a while ago. It was warm enough out I could take a picture of it outside on my picnic bench out back. This is my sort of beater S540. I think at this point it's called the S540, and they had stopped calling it the 540S because I think this first appears in either the 92 or the 93 catalog. What's the serial? Okay, so this appears in the 92 catalog because the serial number is a 91, but it's not in the 91 catalog, and it first appears in the 92. This is a FMT. It's got the flame maple top and I think they call this cherry wine, right? CW, I think is the finish. It's a mahogany body with a flame maple top, so they got to use mahogany on these thin Saber series because if they didn't, the neck would droop down. It would be way too heavy, so they have to use mahogany to counterbalance it. This is a guitar that's sold brand new. I think it had a $12.99 list in '92. Or maybe a $10.99, $12.99 list, and I think it sold about $8.99, $9.99. So this was on eBay for $280. Buy it now. And the guy said, it's a little beat up. Someone's got some initials carved in the back. Whatever. It doesn't affect it. But when it showed up, the tremolo had more problems than he had alluded to, and the case was a little worse than he had mentioned, and just overall, the quality was, it was really the bridge because, if I have to go out and replace the bridge on it, it get kind of pricey. If you go to Hoshino and you want to buy the new bridge, they're $400, and you find them on eBay for like $150, $160, $170, in that range for the original. This is the Low Pro Edge in Cosmo Black. So, it was going to be expensive, so I sort of emailed him and said, look, I'm going to have to open a ticket on this. Or I think I even just opened up a ticket on it and said, it wasn't as described. The tremolo it was missing some of the parts in the tremolo, so the bar wouldn't even stay in. It was missing the retaining clip and a few other things. So he's like, look, he was very reasonable, and I was very reasonable, and we worked it out like adults. It was kind of amazing for eBay, but he was a good guy, and he said, look, I don't, what's it gonna work out to? And I said, it's probably gonna be like $100 to fix the tremolo. Why don't you split it with me, and we'll call it $100. He's like, you know what? I'll just give you the $150. So he probably got this guitar pretty cheap, and based on its condition, I'd say he might have even got it out of sort of like a clean out or something. It stunk like cigarettes, and the case stunk like cigarettes or something. I think it was cigarettes or some sort of a tobacco. Could have been a pipe, because it had that. Almost could have been a cigar, but I'm leaning more towards cigarettes or a pipe. It was pretty bad. It really stunk, and it had a lot of like oxidation on it. So I've cleaned it up a little bit. It really needs the neck really just the strings taken off and completely polish the frets and clean up the fingerboard and do a little bit of work. But I already worked on the tremolo a little bit. I got a little bit better, but it's still a little loose. I have an extra lock washer I'm going to put on the back of it, and that should take care of it. I bought all the parts individually from Hoshino, and I've spent a few hours sort of working on the trem a little bit, getting it a little bit better. So, it's got a double, single. These are stacked. These are the IBZ USA, which are made by DiMarzio. And this is their, the F2, the C2, and the C2. So these are stacked single coil humbuckers. And obviously this is just a straight up humbucker. Get the 5-way blade. So we wound up, I think my final cost with shipping, and there's really no cracks in the back. It's pretty clean. I think my final cost with shipping was around $330. So with $150 back, it worked out to $180. which is pretty good. I can live with the flaws for that. Man, it's cold out there. It's probably snowing by now. We had a little snow the other night. It wasn't too bad, but we're getting a little bit more today. But it's going to warm up. It's going to rain a little bit. It's all going to wash away. We're supposed to be getting like 3 to 6 inches today. Just in time for the evening commute. But I'm pretty good. I'm pretty much free through the end of the month. So I just finished up the last bit of a little bit of work on a matter that just won't go away. But it's all straightened out now, I think. So what I smell right now is Febreze. I like Febreze the shit out of the case. Put it out back and let it, air. A beautiful, crispy fall day. I just Febreze the whole case, because Febreze works by you wet it down, and as it dries, it really does neutralize the odors. I've done it on a couple of other cases, and it's worked out great, but this case is so nasty, I may have to somehow get sort of a steamer out there and see if I can steam clean it and let that work a little bit, because the Febreze, I can only do so much. So I'm using Guitar Rig 5. This is the early Edward patch, so it uses the jump amp. But I think with a little bit of work, it'll be good. Nice little project for over the break. Not too shabby. So I've been working on a bunch of stuff. I got a Christmas song in the works. We'll see if that can get out before Christmas. That'd be nice. And I'm still cutting up that video for Matt's music there. And I'm working on a tune for a buddy that I promised him like 10 months ago. And I'm finally getting around to putting a little bit of time into it. And that actually, I think, sounds pretty good. I'm using the blackouts on it. And I think that extra mid-pop really sounds good. So stay tuned for that. What else we got coming up? I think people like the theory stuff. I started throwing up on there. Don't worry about it. I know it raises a lot of questions. Trust me, it'll all get answered at some point. Just little baby steps, right? If there's anything we learned from What About Bob, it's baby steps. And so it'll take a while, but it'll get there. Trust me. What I found by going to a lot of school is, if you just hang out for a little bit, sometimes the questions you have eventually get answered without even having to ask the question. So, just stay tuned on that, and I think it'll fill in the gaps. But basically, eventually I might do one more video where we work on paper, and then it's all going to go to computer. I actually got a huge headway in that. I was using a screen recorder for the video, and it sounded awful because believe it or not, the mic had a little bit of, it didn't have any compression in it, and that was the problem. And so I found a different screen recorder that was a little bit more professional, I think the first one I was using was free, and it was sort of old. This new one is like shareware, but when I found out it did what it needed, I just bought it. It was only like, I think, $39. It wasn't very expensive at all. But I think it has a tiny bit of compression in the recording, or just a better audio recorder. And the volume isn't all over the place like it was. It used to be so crazy. At some points you can barely hear me, and other points it was very loud. It was terrible. This new one's much more even, like this is, much more even recording than what I was getting on the old system. And I can record right on the screen. And unlike the old one I had to choose between the mic or the system. The new one I can do the mic and the system. So if I'm using a computer program that can play back the music, I just press play and we can both listen to it together. It's actually pretty good. So that's what's going on there. And what else? Well, I guess that's it. You get your Christmas shopping done? I'm pretty good. We went out to the holiday party for the office yesterday. Went to a Japanese steakhouse. That's always a blast. And lots of fire. And lots of tricks. And it was a lot of fun. And we were talking about, they were all heading out to some outlet mall when we were getting out of there. It's like, really? You guys really drive to a brick and mortar and walk in and pay money? And I said, I get everything delivered by either UPS, FedEx, or USPS. It's like, I can't remember the last time I actually went to a store. They might have got me on a couple of walkouts. I'd have to go to Staples and get something that I needed right then, an ink cartridge or something. And I was walking out of it. Oh, I'll get a couple of these things for the kids. I'll buy them a pack of colored erasers for a stocking stuffer. But yeah, in general, I buy almost everything online and just have it shipped to the house between Amazon and eBay and who else do I use? Newegg. God, I buy a lot from Newegg. What else? Those are probably the main three. Pretty much find anything you want. Pretty good. You don't have to waste all the time. God, just fighting the traffic and the parking and the walking in and the picking out and standing in line and paying. It just seems so colossally burdensome. So that's about it. Boy, the neck on this is super thin. I know it's supposed to be the same as my my other RGs, but I'll have to put the caliper on it and see what it is. It almost feels just a hair thinner. Down in the first position. It says the old custom made right here. It's so funny because you'll see on eBay, they're like, custom made Ibanez. It's no, they all said that. They all said custom made. That wasn't a custom made Ibanez. They're like, custom made Ibanez, $900. It's like, I see these, even with the flame maple tops, I see them on Guitar Center for under $500 all day long. Even under $400. Occasionally $350, $300, if they're sort of beat up. This one was particularly cheap because it is kind of beat up. It does, it's got a lot of dings on it. And like I said, the tremolo still needs work. I still got to do a little bit of work. And this, was almost seized when I got it. I got it moving much better. I have a, can of some electronic lube, cleaner lube, and that's really made a difference. You do that all day. In fact, I probably did that for a half hour trying to get it, spraying it and freeing it up. It's much better than it was. The thing was ridiculous when I got it. So, again, lending to it, I think the thing was in storage or some sort of a storage lock. I wonder if this was even a storage lock or buyout. People do that. Because the guy didn't sound like he was, totally up on the guitar stuff, but maybe I'm wrong. You know, it's like I spent all of like 5 seconds like checking into it. Bought the guitar, checked it out at home, was a little problem. Talked to him about it. We worked out that and sort of moved on from there. The whole thing took place in about, I don't know, 7 days. So that's it. I'm going to try and be back on here a lot more frequently. But you know how that goes. But I'll do at least one more theory video before the end of the year. The Christmas one, the music one, the Matt's Music, and then whatever else we can cram in between now and the end of the year. So be good. I'll be back real soon. And we can come up and check this out a little bit closer. Oh yeah, there we go. Obviously it needs a truss rod cover replaced. Now you can see the fingerboard is pretty grimy. Grimy, as he liked to be called. Not too bad. I don't know if you can really see get the right angle here for the flame on the maple. Oh yeah, right about there maybe. You can kind of see it. Pretty good. Alright guys, as always, rock on.